All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're exploring something pretty amazing. How deep learning, cutting-edge AI, is starting to unlock the secrets hidden inside our social networks. We're talking about how we can now map that complex web of human connection in ways that, honestly, we just never thought were possible.
Okay, so let's get the big picture first. Deep learning and social networks. At the heart of all this is something called social network analysis, or SNA for short. And really, it's just the science of mapping relationships. We're not just looking at single people, but the entire web of connections between them. You know, who's influencing who, how information spreads, and where the real power centers actually are. So, for a really long time, trying to analyze these networks was, well, it was a manual statistical slog. But now we're bringing in the big guns, deep learning. This AI is a total game changer because it lets us go so much deeper. We're talking about uncovering these subtle, intricate patterns and insights that were, for all intents and purposes, completely invisible before. They were just buried in these huge, messy social structures.
Right, so that leads to a big question. How in the world do you get a powerful AI to understand something as abstract as a social network? I mean, you can't just feed it a flowchart of who knows who, right? Well, the answer is this really clever method called graph embeddings. And you can think of it as the crucial bridge between the network itself and the AI's, well, its analytical brain.
So, what exactly is an embedding? The easiest way to think about it is like a translation. We take every single person, or node as it's called in graph theory, in the network, and we convert their unique position and all their connections into a special code. It's basically a list of numbers. But this isn't just a random code. It captures all that rich information about their relationships, turning the whole abstract social map into a language that an AI can actually crunch.
Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, right? But what does turning a bunch of relationships into numbers actually look like in the real world? How does this work really? And what's the specific tool that actually makes this translation so powerful?
Well, the answer, and this is really the heart of our explainer today, is a super powerful technique called graph convolutional networks. You'll hear them called GCNs. This is one of the main tools that deep learning experts use to create those incredibly insightful graph embeddings we were just talking about.
So what a GCN actually does is map these nodes to something called vector representations. Now, don't let the term scare you. In simple terms, it takes every person in the network and gives them a rich numerical signature. But here's the magic. It's not just some random ID number. This signature is super cleverly designed to preserve network properties. And what that means is it encodes their exact place in the network, their influence, who they're connected to, and their overall role in the community.
And hey, just so you see where we're getting this from, here's a look at the source material itself. It points directly to graph convolutional networks, GCNs, as a prime example of this whole embedding technique. This really is the core engine that makes so much of modern social network analysis even possible.
Okay, so let's do a quick recap just to tie this all together. It's pretty straightforward, really. We want to analyze social networks with deep learning to find those hidden patterns. To do that, we use the core technique of graph embedding, which basically translates the network structure into data. And the key tool we use to actually create these powerful embeddings, that's the Graph Convolutional Network, or GCN. And that leaves us with a really fascinating thought, doesn't it? We now have the ability to literally quantify human connection and influence on a scale that's just unprecedented. So if we can turn these enormous, complex social webs into numbers that an AI can understand, what hidden truths about our own communities, about our own behavior, about our collective power are just waiting to be discovered?